So the live that happened a couple of days ago happened, and it was 2.5 hours long. And apparently the first like 30 minutes was them talking about the patch notes, which cool. I'm glad. There was also like a bunch of stuff about Hilda, a bunch of stuff about the other two upcoming characters, Olga and Arabella. I am super interested in seeing what this season has to offer. Apparently, a lot of people are already kind of up in arms about season 4 being wildly dissimilar to everything else that's happened. And there's like a lot of people crying out for balance checks and unneeded buffs and nerfs and weird changes because of how the persona system worked in season 3. So let's go over some of the new stuff. Obviously, season 4 has started, Shattered Light and Claw. We've got our first new banner of the new 3 units, all of which, I might add, are Instinct characters. We will be getting our first character starting today, which is Hilda, who is a Instinct Archer. And then, of course, you've got Olga, which is the scythe-wielding Instinct Psychic. And then Arabella, who is also a limited character, I might add. For our seasonal limited character, Arabella is going to be an Instinct Striker. So, I'm happy that Instinct is finally getting a Striker. I'm not sure if I'm happy that her being both limited and being necessary for all 3 of the characters to be able to work together to support what the seasonal mechanic as well as all 3 of their mechanics are, because and I know a bunch of people have already said this, but people are really worried about how Fracture is going to work, and we'll get into that here in a little bit as far as the actual mechanic that they're adding to these 3 characters. We've added a brand new Chaos. This is specifically for them. It is obviously an Instinct Chaos. Formica is back as the boss, because of course she would be. Known as the Kaleidoscope Hatchery. That's not going to be creepy and filled with weird bug people at all. I don't know what you're talking about. That being said, obviously with the season starting anew, new cards, equipment, and fates have been restricted, so they will no longer be available to be gathered and or used in Season 4. The 2 base cards are Gearbag and Dreamworld. So Dreamworld, the card that everyone worked so hard to build, got banned. Obviously, that makes sense. As did Gearbag, which is a very simple, generic, comboable draw card, used in combination with Dreamworld and my poor girl, Orlea. The item equipment Gastronomicon is actually banned. I actually don't know the significance of that ban, so I'm not entirely sure what I feel about that. And the Courtship Fate will be banned in this season as well. First half of the Great Rift will open up on the 19th of August and will run until the 9th of September, at which point, after the maintenance occurs, the second half of the Great Rift will open and will be available until the 30th of September. Obviously, because we are getting into a new season, we'll have a new seasonal store. Everything starts today until the 30th. The second supply group opens on the 19th, and the third on the 9th. Obviously, nothing here has changed. This is almost all going to be identical in terms of what is available. So you've got, obviously, you've got your tiered that happens every week. Then you have your cores, your amplification anchors, lenses, your undetermined ego crystal that will be able to be purchased once the second supply opens on the 19th, available as normal again. The first part that they've noted is that Stage 1 and Stage 2 inquiry synergies have been enhanced, and activating the Stage 3 synergy now grants 9 desire at the start of battle, and the cost of all desire manifestation cards has been reduced to 0. This is something that was different because I believe they were 1 in the preseason, so that's a solid change. Makes desire a little bit more desirable. As a result of the cost adjustment, the damage amount of the desire manifestation cards have been adjusted, and some effects that previously activated at the start of the next turn will now activate immediately upon use. We're also continuing to make improvements to galactic medals, which showcase your achievement in the galactic disaster. Starting with Season 4, the appearance of the medals will change. It's just going over improvements and things of that nature. The two big things that I think that were really kind of, this is why we weren't worried about it, was each combatant's recommended memory fragments and memory fragment set effects will now be applied, which is new. Also, if you obtain all of the medals in Season 4, you'll be rewarded with a background to use with your saved datas, which is also kind of cool. We've got new environment variables set up specifically for this. We will go into those once we actually get into the game, but for right now, it's all pretty standard. Obviously, we've got Hilda. She's the new agent, Instinct Ranger. She's adorable, by the way. Very interesting backstory. Her partner, Uni, is really, really good for her. Obviously, the updated re-rescue banner is going to be Chizuru and Itsuku. It's interesting that they went... I think they're doing the season... This is Season 1, right? So that means that the next one's probably going to be Narja. Because that was the order they were in Season 1. It was Yuki, Chizuru, Narja. So it'll probably be Narja after, which, that makes sense. Hey, George. They added in a new outfit system. This is something that I think a lot of people have been asking about recently. Like, when are we going to get this? Excursion outfits don't apply in story, combat environments, psychotherapy, and certain other environments. It's literally just for, like, small things, which is like, that's cute. But also, if I can't use it in fighting, what's the point? However, outfits also have exclusive story content that's associated with it. While you're wearing an outfit, combatants will have exclusive dialogue at the Starshine Diner at the Garden Cafe in Arc City. Outfits will also feature unique portrait touch animations and voice lines, as well as giving unique unigram status messages, and will also give you an exclusive sticker for use on your save data, which is cool. Except the good one costs $8. Yeah, I know. They added in a growth guide, so they are working on integrating a way to make it so that you can actually see what you do and don't have as the recommended build for growing your characters and will give you the ability to sort of help you see where you're at, how much of each piece do you need, how much do you have left, and then you can kind of make your decisions on what to farm so that you can grow that agent. This will be available for everybody, should already be in there. It will also compare your current training status, including combatant's level, partners, potential, and memory fragments against recommended progression. That also gives you the ability to check progression for combatants you don't own. If somebody has not reached a target growth point, the following information will be shown, such as if the level is insufficient, you can see what currency you need. If the partner's level is insufficient, it gives you the currency for the target level. If the potential level is insufficient, you can check what currency is still needed to reach that target level as well. And you can set a growth goal for one selected combatant at a time. So it gives you the ability to sort of focus one character, one agent at a time, level them up, give them the proper items, give them the proper potential, all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. they've also added in something else for the cards called build presets. So for those of you who are still kind of into kind of like the baseline, I'm pretty sure it's CZN Meta. Yeah. If you don't know about CZN Meta is a website that actually helps you to sort of build guides. It gives you information, a lot of stuff from Cosmic and a lot of stuff from WG gets posted here pretty consistently. They also give you access to things like tier lists, characters, good team builds for each character, builds for each character, information about partners. It's a really solid site. There's also another one that I can't remember off the top of my head. I would probably have to go and double check to see specifically like where you would probably want to go. But there's a second site that also gives you the ability. I think, George, you might have sent it to me before. I don't remember. Do you remember the deck building site? Because I know that it's not this one. I think it's the other one that I'm thinking about. And I can't remember it's the website name for that one off the top of my head. Yeah, shoot me the link in Discord. Also really interesting here, they're not saying to use Noelle anymore. They're saying her Orlea's #1 choice is Alyssa now. That's a little crazy to me. I'd like to know the reasoning behind not using Noelle instead and using Alyssa here. Especially since Alyssa is a 4-star. Meta Dex, that's the one I was looking for. Thank you. Got it. This one is the one that a lot of the top end players are using. They do a lot of analytics here too, which is really interesting. So for like, and now the reason why you're seeing a tier list built this way is in the conceptualization of Vanguard Rearguard. And the reason for that is because that's how you do Great Rift. Everything that you do is 2 groups of 3. You have a Vanguard that you try to do as much as you can before you all die. And then the Rearguard is the one that you have 10 turns finally to, like 10 turns left to kind of just like do as much extra damage as you can in those 10 turns to like survive it. So the reason why you're seeing 2 separate lists here is because certain characters make more sense in the Vanguard than they do for the Rearguard. That's just how they work that. But what's also really cool is they have a deck build section, so you can actually pick your character, tell it kind of like what role you want them to be in, grab the cards, add them in. So like if I wanted to start, you're like, here's Yuki's base deck. If I wanted to remove a card, I can just click X to remove the cards, and then I can just add additional copies. And like the cool thing is like if I select it, then I can pick the epiphany that's associated with which one I think is probably the best option for her, so on and so forth. So both of these sites are really strong. They kind of share information across both of them, and I found that they are doing a better job of putting together what should be done better than like GameMate. And don't get me wrong, GameMate's been great to me. It's just this stuff is stuff that is specifically dedicated to just CZN. It is not an overarching site that just gives you like assistance and walkthroughs and like build guides for like every game. I've always said that if you can find a specialization, it's always better to deal with that than trying to deal with something that's more open-ended. So like if you know that you have a specific type of car, if you know that you have a mechanic that works specifically on those cars, they're going to probably do a better job at understanding and fixing whatever that problem is on that specific car than taking it to like a dealership or a general mechanic that's going to know about most cars but not specifically your car's exact issue. This is kind of the same conceptualization here. You're going to be able to build and push and do everything that you need to do regularly without having to functionally think about whether or not this is like your best options. Other cool thing is you can select, like, you can put in weapons, armor, and accessory. You can save what partner you want here. It's all very cool. I think MetaDex is very strong. But I also think that CZM Meta is doing very good work as well. It's very clean. It's very put together. I'm pretty sure. I actually don't know who's running Meta, the actual Meta site. I don't know who's running this one. And I think these are, if I'm remembering correctly, these are these are WGs, right? Or am I? Yeah. Yeah, these are WG's videos. So, like, every one of these, like, I can tell because this is the same font that WG uses all the time. But yeah. I wonder if this is, like, WG, like, running his own site specifically for this stuff. It might be. Anyway, regardless of that, the build presets that they built in here are very reminiscent of the deck builder on CZM MetaDex. And so if you get a chance to check out both, I say do so. They both have some very interesting thought experiments in ability to sort of, I can build it in the website and I can build it in the game. I know he's trying to put together his own site, but I don't think it's that one specifically. It might not be, but they're using all of his stuff. Like, it's the same font. It's posting all of his videos. Like, these are all WG's videos. None of these are anyone else's. Like, every single one of these videos are WG's videos. So it may not be his site specifically, but whoever's site it is only using WG's data. So it's very interesting to see. But yeah, the baseline I'm getting at here is the build preset is actually not terrible. I haven't got a chance to actually look at any of the stuff in game yet. I know that it exists, and I'm kind of going over some of this for the first time. I've already kind of seen how some of this works, but it's cool because you can set a preset. You can set up to 3 different presets for each character that you have unlocked, and then before you actually start, you can choose whether to enable build presets for each combatant for the team formation screen. This gives you the ability to preset 3 sets of presets for each combatant, freely design and edit your deck by adding, removing, and duplicating cards, applying epiphanies, so on and so forth. When you enter battle with a build preset enabled, recommended cards based on the active preset will be displayed during the process of editing your deck, such as acquiring, removing, or duplicating cards. You can copy your build presets as a deck code to share with other protos. You can import other deck codes to make your build preset as well. And you can instantly apply other protos' save data to your build presets from Great Rift merit rankings. So if somebody has a deck that you think is really cool looking and you want to try it, grab their data, throw it into one of your presets, and go into Chaos and try to build it. I know that this is something we've been asking for since season 1, and I'm glad that they're finally implementing it. I could also tell that the technology that they needed to build this system was a pain in the ass, which is why it took almost a year for them to put it in. Which, cool. Not going to complain about that. I also really like the idea of having the ability to, like, share builds with the codes so that you just grab a code, toss it. You don't even have to worry about, like, taking screenshots and pictures and trying to send everything piece by piece. You can literally just snag a code, send it to somebody else, and then they can implement the code and see the build. Now, obviously, the only thing that isn't going to be here, like, that is at MetaDex, is the ability to choose the partner and the ability to set your weapons, armor, and accessories. The other cool thing about MetaDex is it also gives you it just tells you what your score is at. Whereas here, it's only telling you, like, it tells you the same thing, just sort of in a different format. So it's telling you how many cards you have, how many cards were duplicated, how many cards were removed, and then it gives you the total overall score of the deck, which is cool. So it's just a matter of doing it on a website so that you have an idea of what you want to build, and then you can either set it up as a preset or make changes on the fly with meta decks, and then being like, okay, so this is what I got, this is where I'm at. Will this actually stack up? And then if it does, you should be able to like preview how it all works together and then kind of go from there. So it's really cool. I'm actually pretty happy about like both what they added into the game and with the meta deck site. I feel like it's definitely got a lot more consistent, I guess is the best way I can put it, since people are starting to use it more often. What else we got? Basin of Hyperspace is reopened starting today until the 19th. The first to the 8th basin. Your support effects are card draw, shield gain this time around. Based on extra attack, 0 cost cards, and straight up a flat 35% when gaining shields. So card drawn boost, shield gain boost. Beach Cafe started. So they started the summer event. Ma'am, your outfit is falling apart. Please, somebody help Arabella. She is trying so hard, and that cloth is straining ever so much to stay in one place. It's trying its hardest, chat. It has started today and will run until the 30th of September. Before the maintenance, you must be at least Captain level 15. And this will allow you to obtain Midsummer Night Memories for each type of content through summer missions. Each of the summer missions will give you the amount that you need. Each total amount up from 8 to 84 will allow you to obtain new exciting items, including core mutation, variables, colorless cores, abyss cores, and then of course you've got additional things like the multidimensional alignment material, the profile background, which is the memories of the Beach Cafe Festival, some stuff for Ray, including Ray's outfit, a sticker of Ray's outfit, and of course the save data background as well. So good time to get some unique stuff. Getting Ray's summer outfit for free is really cool. So yeah, fun stuff. Additional story content specifically called Following in the Fox's Footsteps, specifically for Hilda. Being told from the perspective of her partner, Uni. As you progress through the main missions on the event page, you can use Hilda's trial save data to be able to kind of go through some of these little side stories, and then kind of like taking each next step to kind of build up. As you continue through and clear each of the stories, you gain additional crystals and prism lenses. And then, of course, once you've cleared everything, you get the Fire Team Fox signboard sticker, which is really cute as well. Don't forget to do your tactical simulations, which will be for Hilda, Lucas, and Maribel. As well as once Chizuru's banner changes over, it will be Chizuru, Ray, and Lucas. This will give you additional crystals, battle memories, and units. Chasing the Remnants of the Light, which is, of course, another... every day you log in, you gain access to a specific... It's basically secondary login stamps. Every single day is going to get you something that you probably want to pick up. The total amount of rescue anchors that you get, I think, is 5 and 5, unfortunately. It's really not a lot. Yeah, the regular rescue anchors, you get 5 on day 7, and then you get 5 signal application anchors, which is the one for the banner character, and that you'll get that on the 14th day. So, but still logging in, getting some small login stamp bonuses. This is pretty common. Nothing super out of the ordinary. There's going to be an overdrive on memory fragments from the 29th until the 4th, so you will earn double memory fragments every day, up to a total of 6 instead of up to a total of 6 runs. So if you're just doing 5 and 1, you're going to get double twice, and then you're good to go. It does reset daily at 1800 UTC, so that's always good to know. Obviously, there was a bunch of additional balance adjustments regarding the Season 4 stuff that they had to change twice, which is crazy if you think about it, but here we are. All of the current combatants that you see here are getting some form of adjustment. I will get into the Orlea stuff in a moment because I have no idea what I'm gonna do. Orlea has been such a linchpin of my deck designing philosophy that her nerfs and changes I have to actually kind of deep dive them a little bit, because I personally have been a big Orlea fan since since I started. And so to see her get so heavily just ground into the dirt because of Dream World and all of the changes that they needed to make for her are just insane to me. That being said, Narja, 9, Renora, Luke, Orlea, Kayron, Calipe, and Hugo are the 5 stars getting touched, and Lucas, Beryl, and Tressa. Of course, Tressa gets bumped again. And the 4-star level are also going to get some form of balance adjustment. Orlea got changed so much that they had to do a full growth reset for her, which means after the 7/29/2026 maintenance, a growth reset button will appear on Orlea's combatant details page. When selecting reset growth, the combatant's ego manifestation, level, promotion, and potential progression will be reset. All currency spent, including units, will be returned to your storage. Any spectral cubes, however, will also be refunded based on the number of ego manifestation stages reset. So this is important to understand because they changed Orlea so much that it kind of went crazy. Like, a lot of people looked at her changes and were like, what in the crap are you talking about? Renoa also got a lot of buffs, which good for her. Luke got a bunch of buffs. 9 got a couple of her ego manifestation changes. So she got E4 and E6 got changed. So E6 got buffed from 15% to 25%, and her E4 got changed from when one of her cards are exhausted, gain an improvisation equal to the cost of the card. Improvisation is a 50% plus 50% defense-based damage amount to her attack cards for 1 turn, stacking 3 times, where now it is currently a 50% increase to defense-based damage to all of her attack cards, period, for 3 stacks. Enjoy your dinner. So that's kind of an interesting touch. Narja got her ego manifestation, so her E2, 4, and 6 also got buffed. So her veracity is, when veracity is decreased, instead of 25% chance to gain 1, she has a 40% chance to gain 1. Her E4 got boosted from 30% damage to predation to 40% damage to predation. And her E6 got buffed from, at the end of the turn, inflict 50% defense-based damage to random enemies and heal 1% health for each predation decreased this turn, to, at the start of the turn, gain 4 veracity and 2 predation, and then at the end of the turn, continue. So it basically didn't just get buffed, it got added, which is kind of an interesting change, but mostly just because I don't think we've had anything change like that since what they've done to the last big round of patched buffs to Yuki. So it's interesting to see that Narj is getting touched there. So yeah, overall damage buffs to Renoa's cards, overall damage buff to Luke's handgun bullet build, and his ego skills also getting buffed. I think it was his E3s getting buffed from 50 and 1525 to 100 and 2535. Kayron is getting his E4 touched from damage to Kayron's attack cards boosted by 10% to damage to Kayron's attack card for the entire fight, max 3 stacks. So it's not just a 1-turn buff; it is a full combat buff, which is also very much needed. Calipe got a bunch of stuff buffed as well. A lot of just base overall damage increase. This is mostly to bring her in line with what the output of the 3 new characters, so Hilda, Olga, Arabella, is going to be. So it's good that they're actually touching her in this way. It's important, because boy howdy, she was going to get power crept to shit if they didn't. Honestly, she was going to be unplayable without these buffs. I'll tell you that much right now. Hugo got a couple of his egos boosted as well. His E4 and E6 getting buffed. They're removing a lot of the stack limitations from the earlier stages, and the late stages are gaining a lot of other interesting things. Like, for instance, his E6 is gaining a stack, 1 max stack, but gives 2 morale per turn. This is because it's morale, and morale is getting nerfed into the dirt anyway. Lucas is getting buffed across the board for all of his different bullets. Barrel's base damage for opening found charge shot and charge shot E2 are also getting buffed. Tressa's shadow daggers are getting buffed from doing 1 agony to 2 agony, brother. And the advanced shadow dagger is going from 2 agony to 4 agony. Orlea's Softy. So this is the first of the 2 big nerfs for Orlea. Orlea's Softy card is getting nerfed directly into the dirt. The idea was to, quote-unquote, preserve her gameplay identity and party contribution while adjusting only the interactions that excessively dominate combat. In this case, using the damage increase granted by the retain effect now getting capped, because what was happening is people were basically building her into a retain frenzy where she would retain 3 or 4 times in a fight. And so now you're getting 35, 35, 35, 35. And eventually people figured out how to cycle enough retain that as long as you held the cards, you were just constantly just creeping the power every single turn. You would just get stronger and stronger and stronger. They are now capping the retain at 350% maximum. So this is just a direct nerf to Softy. Now, while I understand why it is that they're doing this, and that's the reason why they added the growth reset feature for her, is because they're like, because we're capping Softy, we understand if you don't want to use her anymore. So we will allow you to refund all of the points you've put into her. Cool, thanks. But why cap? Because you want them to use the cards, not retain the cards. Her whole kit is about retaining. That is always what her kit has been about, is retaining. And they're getting rid of the damage buff by capping it at 350%. Here's the rub on that. Why cap 1 and 2? Just cap 3. If you're going to cap 3-star, that makes sense. But why are you capping 1-star and 2-star? Because it takes so much longer to retain 1-star and 2-star to hit that maximum that by the time these guys are even at a point where they're useful, they're just capped into power creep. They're not usable at that point. Like, you never want a 1 or a 2 anymore. If you're going to build her, you're always going to find a way to build Softy 3. There's an epiphany that specifically makes a Softy 3 instantly. That's the only card epiphany you're ever going to have on Growing Creature now. You're never going to use anything else. You're not going to do the use it, create a 1-star, retain, use, make a 1-star. You're simply going to grab the epiphanies that are just going to be make X 3-star, make 3-star X, make 3-star Y, make 3-star Z. Those are the only ones you're going to get, because you're only going to ever want to use a 3-star, because it's this would take 35 turns. This would take 22 turns. This would take 10 turns. And while I get it, 10 turns is a long time. So you need to retain 10 times to be able to max out the damage buff that you're getting from this. And retaining 10 times was very easy in Season 3. But 35 times in a turn? That's a stretch. That's a big stretch. I don't think that happened very much with her. I think the 2-star and the 3-star getting nerfed makes sense, but the 1-star doesn't reserve. I don't think you need to cap 1-star. It's almost impossible to get 35 retains in a turn, or even getting 35 retains in an entire fight. In most cases, you're capping out total overall damage, especially in Great Rift, within the first 6 turns, usually. But yeah, and that's just the first part. We haven't even gotten into the second part. a lot of people got really upset about it. That's what this one is basically saying. Hey, we sincerely apologize for the disappointment and the sense of loss that many protos experienced following the Season 3 power adjustments. In an effort to provide new experiences and engaging content, we failed to uphold our responsibility to preserve the value of time and effort for each and every one you have invested in Chaos Hero Nightmare. In addition, we also apologize for creating balance issue inconveniences that resulted from our insufficient testing of Season 3's seasonal power while preparing for the half anniversary update. They took a bunch of people off the balance team to put them onto the half anniversary team to make sure that the half anniversary came out well and that Heidemery wasn't super broken and that the events were good. But the problem was they just didn't catch Persona. The Persona cards were fucking stupid. It was crazy how dumb those Persona cards got at the end of it all. So obviously they changed some things and then said starting today in your in-game mailbox, you're going to get a bunch of this stuff. So we're getting a combatant selection ticket that's selectable up to Diana, 10 rescue anchors, 5 core of annihilations, 5 core of the reverse, 8 core potential, 15 colorless core, 20 core mutation, and 30 abyssal cores. As a, we're sorry. We didn't realize because we had moved people off of a bunch of stuff, and so they're going to give us a bunch of sorry about that stuff. So it's just a straight up free character, which I will probably use to get fucking Luke. Because he's the only 5-star I don't have Luke yet. So getting Luke means I would have a full roster finally. Like finally. But yeah. Plus we get 10 base rescue anchors, so that's another role for another partner or another role for another E boost for somebody. This is good. I think it's okay. Not the best, but it's okay. They made a bunch of equipment adjustments, obviously discovering that the attack plus percentage effects provided by certain equipment, including Clover of the Forest, were being applied multiplicatively instead of additively. This will now change it so that they will stack additively as originally intended. In addition, several other equipments related to action count have exceeded their intended limits and will be adjusted accordingly, as listed below. Nightmare Hairpin is getting adjusted so that instead of increasing the action count of the target by 2 once per turn, it will only increase it by 1. Crushed Angel Feather will be changed from 2 to 1. The Torture Toolbox will be changed from 3 to 1. Bloody Pendant stated originally that when duplicated cards are used, action count of all enemies does not decrease for 1 turn, 1 time per battle. So like that was a little crazy. But they made it so that it increases the action count of all enemies by 3 once per battle. It's not a terrible nerf for Bloody Pendant, but it also makes it not really desirable anymore. And then all of the other cards here, so all the other items, Clover, Verdant Date, Verdant Night, Verdant Shackle, Pulsating Egg, and Bloom Dull Bone Blade will now no longer stack multiplicatively and will stack additively with other attack plus % effects, such as Criticism of Discord and Tentacles of a Ruined Age. All of the Persona cards, as you see listed here, including a bunch of the engravings, are also going to be getting adjusted. The defense-based damage increase action count by 2 will be moved down to 1. The 30% damage amount to a bullet card will be reduced to 10%. 100% damage plus 50% damage amount to attack cards of this unit in hand is reduced from 50% to 15%. You kind of get the picture here. A lot of what they were seeing with these Persona cards weren't tested. They said themselves. They said so themselves. They weren't tested. Because they weren't tested, they went off the deep end when it came to all of these nerfs. And by nerfs, I mean big nerfs. Like, some of these are crazy. The 1 mark on random enemies for each Lux engraving now only stacks 3 times. So if I've got 6 Lux engravings, it doesn't matter. They're only getting 3 stacks a turn, which is like, thanks, I hate it. Yeah. Baseline, they just didn't test. So a lot of the stuff that was just getting used consistently and was just broken, especially for some of the higher end strikers and attackers, absolutely dug into the dirt. because of these nerfs. It's just how it works. I mean, when you don't test the entire season and then you come after the season, you're like, hey, we're nerfing these cards. Valid, but also for a lot of people, it feels a little too late. As somebody who's been in their shoes, though, as somebody who has done balance testing and smoke testing and functional assessment and quality assurance, I can tell you that the fact that they didn't have anyone consistently testing these cards out while the preseason was occurring and then made the changes at the end of that season's like set and into the preseason of the next to make all of these big nerfs, it kind of screams negligence, which is part of the reason why they sent out the apology letter. But you know, I get it, but at the same time, man, even if you had like one or two people that were still doing balance testing on these cards, you would have caught this so much sooner. You really would have. I think, I firmly believe that they would have caught this way earlier had they done it. Last but not least, they're also going to be doing some additional updates and improvements in Sortie. Since the Sortie update, various core items have been added into the Chaos Analysis Lab, increasing the amount of things like Black Mass that protos need to spend making Sortie feel increasingly like a mandatory daily task, which for a lot of people was. As a result, the burden of entry, aether, and overall fatigue associated with Sortie have grown to the point where we believe they are beginning to detract from the enjoyment of the content. To address this, we are preparing additional improvements. First, with the Season 4 update, the entry aether refund point will be moved from after clearing the Act 1 boss to upon entering the rest spot immediately before the Act 1 boss. In addition, we plan to introduce improvements that reduce the time required to play Sortie as soon as possible. Our goal is to implement this in a way that preserves the value earned by protos who actively play Sortie, while still allowing players to obtain rewards at a reasonable level. Once the update schedule has been finalized, we'll provide more details. We're hoping additional improvements internally to be explored, and we'll continue to share future plans as they are finalized. Cool. I think that is part of the reason why, while I like Sortie a lot, it makes it really rough for me to try to want to go through it multiple times, just because the amount of grinding you would need to do in Sortie to make a deck was ludicrous. I will get into both of those in game, but it does look like they've added 2 new additional 4-piece memory fragments, as well as the new improvements to the UI UX stuff for the actual memory fragments. They have 2 new 4-piece sets. They have Battlefield Evolution. This is an extra attack set. This is most likely going to be the 4-piece set that we want to add for Hilda. And then another 4-piece set called Sanguine Thorn that states when Fracture is applied to a card, it does additional critical damage. And then when 10 or more Fractures have been applied through cards, 15% critical damage to dots. This is huge. This is the set that's most likely going to be used on Olga and on Arabella. And the 4-piece set that Hilda's going to be using is most likely Battlefield Evolution. Obviously, they've made a bunch of UI UX improvements for how memory fragments are handled, so that's really nice. New stuff in the shop. Words are hard. New stuff in the shop. They've added Tefera's Respite After Justice Star Cluster Wardrobe for 1,200 crystals. This will give you both the outfit and the sticker. And then, of course, Hilda's new summer outfit, which is Youth Under the Sun, is available for a one-time purchase of $7.99. That's what we were talking about earlier, that the good one costs $8. It's a shame, but it is what it is. Obviously, we've got new supply missions under the Galactic Disaster, which we kind of already touched on. Some additional quality of life improvements. New feature will be added for the command delegation, where you can purchase command delegation modules using your own crystals instead. Your first time will be 40 crystals, second is 50, third through fifth is 60. You can only purchase one at a time per transaction, and it is a daily reset at 1800 UTC. Whenever you activate a combatant's potentials by merging or disassembling them, said potentials will now be activated immediately. The game now remembers the state of do not show until next login checkbox separately for the story summary pop-up and the general skip pop-up. Good, thank God, that sucked. You can now skip some of the story sections at once, except for unidentified area cutscenes. Whenever you're selecting a combatant, partner, or prism module on the rescue results screen, you can now view detailed information. A tutorial skip button has been added. The skip button becomes available after 5 seconds in on the tutorial. And of course, you can now skip pop-ups for combatant level up, promotion, potential activation, and sortie expertise level ups. Sortie itself has also been changed in certain ways, such as the ether required to enter sortie has been reduced from 30 to 10. Just make it free. Just make it free. I don't care that there's a refund point. Just make sortie free. That's my biggest complaint about sortie. It shouldn't cost ether. The furthest point with H consumed to enter sortie is fully refunded. Will be changed to the rest area right before the first boss instead of after. Fates obtained through the prismatic fate effect are now excluded from the sortie score calculation when using a core of mutation. You can now select which effect to apply between the existing effect and the new one. There's actually a whole UI change for that too, which is very nice. If the client closes before you select an effect, you can choose it from the combatant menu after reconnecting. The overall values of options granted by the core mutation will be increased. And of course, the purchase method for cores of mutation up to a total of 30 will be for originally was just 4,000 per. They have changed it now so that during the available period, the first 10 will be for 1,000, and then in an unlimited purchase up to forever, I guess. Words are hard. For 2,000 black mass each. There's also a retroactive distribution notice due to the core mutation price adjustment to 2,000 black mass will be sent to your mailbox for each core of mutation that you had already previously purchased. So this is a nice refund for people that did. Bunch of other quality of life changes, duplicated cards, and things of that nature are being changed. We've kind of gone over a bulk of what this is all about already, so that's good. The Divine Epiphany effects with different divinities but identical effects such as Sekrid, draw 1, and Caligo, draw 1 are also treated as duplicates and will not be granted. This is huge. Because it makes it so that if you've got like 3 different divines but they're all draw 1, it doesn't treat the duplicates as additional points. It's literally the same card duplication. It's not doubling the duplication points, which is good. Obviously, we've got a bunch of new bug fixes and other things. With the 7.8 update, the Korean voiceovers for Luke and Renoa, as well as Korean and Japanese voices for Faye, were added to the trauma code. After the 7.29 updates, voiceovers in Korean for Haru and Narja, and for Japanese for Haru, are also being upgraded and updated as well. A lot of this is changing because of a lot of the storyline changes that occurred previously. So a lot of people are kind of doom and gloom about this season. A lot of people are kind of doom and gloom about the patch notes. A lot of people are kind of upset for a good reason in terms of what is going on with Season 4.